Well, President Muhammadu Buhari's non-assent to the latest amendment to the Electoral Act 2022, which would have allowed statutory delegates to vote, has led to Nigeria's two largest political parties focusing on elected ad hoc and national delegates ahead of their presidential primaries set to hold this weekend. Well, Arise News political editor Sumner Sambo tells us more.
Arise News analysis of statements and data from the governing All Progressives Congress shows that it intends to elect 3 ad hoc delegates per local government in Nigeria, who will then converge at a special national convention in Abuja to elect the APC presidential candidates. With 774 local government areas in the country times 3, the total delegates will amount to 2,322 ad hoc delegates. A geopolitical breakdown shows that the Northwest, with 186 local government areas, has a total of 558 ad hoc delegates. The Southwest, with 137 local government areas, has 411 ad hoc delegates. The South-South, with 123 local government areas, has 369 ad hoc delegates. The North-Central, with 121 local government areas, has 363 ad hoc delegates. The Northeast, with 112 local government areas, has 336 ad hoc delegates, and the Southeast, with 95 local government areas, has 285 ad hoc delegates. Party insiders say the earlier anticipated and combined ad hoc and statutory delegates list would have been 7,800 total delegates. Arise News analysis of statements and data from the main opposition People's Democratic Party further shows that it intends to elect 3 ad hoc delegates per local government area in Nigeria and 1 national delegate per local government area across the country that will all converge at a special national convention in Abuja to elect the PDP presidential candidates. With 774 local government areas in the country, the total delegates will amount to 2,322 ad hoc delegates. Also, with 1 national delegate per local government area in Nigeria, times 774 local government areas in the country, the total number of national delegates will still amount to 774. A breakdown per geopolitical zone shows that a combination of ad hoc and national delegates will see the Northwest, with 186 local government areas, having a total of 744 delegates. The Southwest, with 137 local government areas, has 548 delegates. The South-South, with 123 local government areas, has 492 delegates. The North-Central, with 121 local government areas, has 484 delegates. The Northeast, with 112 local government areas, has 448 delegates, and the Southeast, with 95 local government areas, has 380 delegates. Party insiders say the earlier anticipated and combined ad hoc and statutory delegates list would have been 3,700 total delegates. Sumner Sambo, Arise News.
Well, let's bring in Arise News analyst Amadi, Dr. Sam Amadi, and political editor Sumner Sambo for more on this. And Sumner, let me begin with you because, I mean, you helped us crunch those numbers. How much of a change will this mean to the primaries and political parties? The president hasn't signed that electoral amendment yet, and we're counting days to this primaries. So how much of a change will it be, really?
Thank you so much, Adesu, and good evening to our viewers. This will actually help to create a very good impression of how primaries can be conducted very, very fast. Because if you look at the ongoing PDP primaries at the moment, you see that the House of Representative members, State Assembly members are emerging as candidates very quickly, unlike before, where you had a combination of this statutory and ad hoc delegates, and it will take a long period of time before collation is done once these party primaries are over. So the rate at which the results are being declared for the House of Rep primaries, State House of Assembly primaries, and the senatorial election primaries that are held today will tell you that in as much as it's good for statutory delegates to actually vote because it's within their purview, it's within their rights. Nonetheless, if there's a new change to our electoral process where the electors, as we have seen them being called in other parts of the country, are allowed to do this first tranche of the exercise, it will make it to be faster. Imagine if we have these categories of persons voting at the presidential primaries. I think the result should be in about 8 to 10 hours, unlike the previous ones where we stay the night at Eagle Square, and for over 40 hours, the collation is still ongoing, and it's been a tough thing. So I think a good innovation here is that it will make things to be faster. It will help the delegates, the presidential aspirants to reach out faster, the senatorial aspirants to reach out faster, the governorship aspirants to reach out faster, and for the party to be able to print the appropriate materials that's needed for the voting, because the parties too, the political parties, will be spending less. But I know that even though the statutory delegates have lost out this time around, I can tell you for real that when it comes to the next election cycle, they are going to ensure that they are on the ballot.
So, Amadi, weigh in on this very, very quickly. I mean, is this a delayed strategy on the part of President Muhammadu Buhari to send the Electoral Act Amendment Bill to INEC and, of course, to the Attorney General of the Federation?
I think probably has a substantive reason not to sign, and the president, the eve of his departure to United Arab Emirates, he signed off on the National Health Insurance Law bill to act. So the president doesn't want to sign. But what matters here? Look, we are going to have those elected for the purpose of electing presidents and governors, House of Reps candidates vote. I think in terms of merit, the ad hoc they have more merit than statutory. Statutory is by definition, office have heard, so it's a privilege actually allowed by the Constitution, and now the Electoral Act has denied them that privilege. The real guys in this room who carry the mandate of the people or the members of the party are actually those the party members elected in Congress. So nothing to cry over spilled milk. We are going to the elections, and we know that, like someone said, fewer numbers, shorter primaries. Yeah. The regret here is that they didn't have enough time to canvass among their members, to show themselves, so that essentially people will know what they're voting for.
All right, Sumner, I mean, you've highlighted the advantages for journalists who have to cover this, the political parties who have to print, but who are the big losers when it comes to leaving out the statutory delegates?
I think the big losers here will be the members of the National Assembly. How could they have shot themselves in the foot? I mean, while, doing this piece of legislation, how could it be that they have, with all the clerks that they have, they couldn't, foresee this issue happening? I think the president is trying to send a point. President Buhari is trying to let them know that he could actually pay back, because he tried to make them consider removing Section 84, subsection 12, but they said that, they had already done their job. They didn't have enough time. So when it came to their own interest, they had enough time to amend the document and send it back to him. But when it came to the presidency's interest, they said they didn't have time. So the president is also showing them that he has the capacity to fight back. But in all, is this good for our democracy? Well, I can tell you that it disenfranchises the statutory delegates, because it's their rights, as we call them super delegates, it's within their rights to actually exercise this franchise as party leaders, members of the party who have contributed immensely. But, well, the unfortunate thing has happened here, and I think somehow it's good for our democracy. I think the lessons that should be learned this time around is that how can we see where we grow to our democracy to a point whereby, in the first instance, we allow the delegates to elect the party candidates, and then if there's any need for a rerun or runoff or anything, then we can bring in the super delegates to join them. But I think we've done well for our democracy.
All right, good for democracy, so says Sumner Sambo. Let's come to the main issue at hand. We're supposed to do a breakdown of the 6 numbers of presidential aspirants under the PDP, starting with former vice president who served 2 terms, Atiku Abubakar, from Adamawa State, age 75. Let's look at what his chances are of picking the ticket at the PDP primary. How high are his chances and how low? And what do you think, could work against him or even work for him? Dr. Sam Amadi.
Well, I think you talked earlier, you talked about winners and losers. I think Atiku is one of the big losers with this new arrangement, because he probably counts more of the statutory delegates because he's been around. These are members of House of Reps who are senators and former officials who are not beholden to the governors. And if you look at the breakdown now, you see that Northwest, with 3 candidates, I think is going to contend with 3 candidates in the Northeast, and the numbers are not that high. So he was a front runner. I would put him no longer as a front runner in this circumstance. He's one of the losers. So, but again, what works for him is, I mean, he has been there. He's vice president. He was vice president. He was a former candidate. Was a candidate of the party in 2019, and that carries weight, which is sums up as his 11 votes. Although he has actually underperformed more than every other PDP
11
million votes. He underperformed more than any other PDP presidential aspirant. Obasanjo had 24 million votes. Yar'Adua had about 24 million votes. Even Jonathan defeated had about 14 million votes. So primarily, he is still strong. Yeah. Okay. He has name recognition, but again, he is one of those who are hit hard by this.
All right. For want of time, very quickly, Sumner Sambo, if Vox Pops could earn aspirant tickets, then perhaps Peter Obi would have gotten it from our small sample size of Vox Pop from Lagos. But what are his chances? Let's do Peter Obi and Bukola Saraki. These men are not new to the political scene in Nigeria. What do you think?
Yeah, Adeswa, if you look at these 2 gentlemen, you discover that they come from different geopolitical prisms of the country. Peter Obi is a newcomer into the presidential race. This is his very first outing as a presidential aspirant standing alone. The last time that he came was his first as a running mate to Atiku. But Bukola Saraki has always been there, and then he's always been canvassing. Remember, sometime around 2011, he stood side by side with Atiku Abubakar, especially when there was that call for a northern consensus candidate to emerge out of the PDP. Within these 2 gentlemen, you will see that they actually appeal to the younger population. Bukola Saraki is also well received. He has a very good reception this time around among some of the elites, especially in the north, who may want to see someone within the mid-range category trying to be projected in such a way that he will bridge the gap between the south and the north. But if you look at the popularity contest on the streets, I can tell you that Peter Obi has been speaking to the right set of people. A lot of Nigerians are tired of this same set of names that you hear during every election cycle. And it looks like Obi is a new thing that's coming up because this time around he's standing on his own, and is appealing to the young people of the country and telling them that, look, you could still have some hope in the country. And so while the elites may not like him, those on the streets think that he has a very good probability of emerging. But it's a different ballgame when it comes to the delegate system. I can tell you for real, it takes a lot of guts for him to be able to get to where he has got to. But impressing it upon, especially these ad hoc delegates that are controlled largely by the governors that are not interested in what the country seems to be interested in, it's going to be a different ball game when it comes to the decision-making day. Okay, we have Pius Anyim from Ebonyi State, former Senate President. He says he's experienced the legislature. He's also experienced as a part of the executive. Pius Anyim and Aminu Tambuwal, Present Governor of Sokoto State. What are their chances? Okay. Sam Amadi. Okay. I think, of course, Anyim is well experienced, well received. But again, I don't think he has a pathway to emerge the candidate, considering if you look at the numbers from the Southeast, and Southeast is also an open space there for both Wike, Tambuwal, Anyim. So, and then maybe he wins Ebonyi and one state. I don't see him being the candidate. Now, talk about Tambuwal. I think this is the guy that the ad hoc arrangement has favored most. One person from the Northwest, 3 from Southeast. So Anyim probably gets more than others in the Southeast. But Tambuwal has the capacity to close that deal in the Northwest. He do pick up across Southeast, pick up across Northeast maybe, and then Southwest maybe won't be the winner. Saraki may do better and Atiku. But primarily, I think maybe Tambuwal is the guy to be coronated on May 29th.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, both of you gentlemen. Sumner Sambo, thank you so much. Dr. Sam Amadi, thank you very much for joining us.